Hello learners, welcome to the course Migrated Women's Literature. In our today's lecture, we will be talking about the characters from the short story Tilled Earth. This story is written by Manjushree Thapa. The very first character in this short story is the protagonist, a girl, and the remarkable thing about this character is that her name has not been written anywhere. So we can say that there is this unnamed girl who is playing the role or the character of the protagonist in this short story. There are certain specific things about this girl. The very first thing that we notice here is that she is stuck between two cultures, the Nepali culture and the American culture. And her character also shows different traits of both the cultures. Initially, when the story begins, we find that this girl has all the characteristics of Nepali culture. She is a purely Nepali girl who follows her traditions, her values, her customs, rituals, everything. But later on, as the story moves forward, we find that the girl has assimilated into the new culture, which is the American culture. And now she has become an American girl from the depth of her heart. Now here we find an example of cultural assimilation, which is shown with the help of this protagonist of the short story. Next thing that we notice about this character is experiences. The girl shows various experiences. She talks about her experiences there in her motherland, that is Nepal. She has studied there, she has seen the life there, she has experienced the school life, and her family is still there, and she knows the values of that country, she knows the behavior of the people from her motherland. So she shows that she has lots of experiences, but all those experiences are from her motherland only. Next thing that we notice here is her new experience. This new experience is a sense of independence. After reaching America, the girl experiences freedom. She tastes independence. So this experience of freedom also gets reflected in her character, and now this new experience has added new layers to her character. Now she knows that there are many other things which she can explore and she can achieve in her life. So this new sense of achievement, which is very much associated with her sense of independence, that is also shown with the help of this major character, that is the girl. Next thing that we notice here in this short story is presentation of identity. The girl highlights how an immigrant's identity is formed and framed in a new land. She presents her Nepali identity in the beginning of the story, and then she shows her American identity. So this is very typical of immigrants, that they bring their ethnic identity to the new land and then they assimilate into the new culture. Thus they develop their new identity, which is their acquired identity. So the representation of ethnic identity as well as acquired identity can also be understood by this character, that is the protagonist of this short story. Next character is also unnamed. This is referred to as the lover of this girl. This character is also referred to as a professor there in Nepal. So he is 15 years older to that girl. And another important thing that we notice here is representation of interfaith marriages, which is not accepted there in Nepali culture. So the man comes from a different caste and the girl is from another caste. Both of them are in love and they want to marry, but the man tries to find a way so that they can come out of this problem. So the way or the solution which he suggests is to send the girl to America. Therefore, finally the girl arrives there, she reaches American land, and the man has the plan of joining that girl later on. So these specific details highlight certain aspects of his character. The first thing that we notice here is that the man wants to marry his girlfriend, but he is afraid of facing the society. So this fear of this man is reflected here in this story, and it is shown that the man does not have this courage to fight with the society, or we can say that how strong the societal norms are there in that land. This thing is also represented by the behavior of this man in this short story. And the next thing that we here notice is this man, this professor, he comes from a different caste, therefore he looks for various solutions. And instead of joining the girl as soon as possible, or instead of thinking of about the better future for that girl, instead of encouraging that girl to study and get some good position in the society, he keeps on imagining to move to America and then marry the girl. However, it is nowhere shown in the short story that this man stops her from working or from studying. Still, his behavior shows that he is more concentrated on marrying that girl. Third thing that we notice here is this man, this lover of the protagonist, is totally unaware of the journey of this girl. He is totally unaware of how this girl is progressing in her life. Third character is Jenny. She is a classmate of this protagonist, and Jenny is married to Mike. He is an architect. So Jenny is shown as a comfort zone for this girl because she is kind and she works as a source of empathy for this girl. Whenever the girl wants to talk to someone, she finds that it is very difficult to communicate with the people there in America because they do not understand her mother tongue. Certainly, they are not from Nepal. And another thing that she experiences is that there is a sort of a barrier between her and the other classmates, and this barrier has been created because of the language, because of English, and this girl is not very fluent in English. However, she knows it well, whereas other students are fluent in English. So this fluency of one specific language stops her from communicating with other students. Then the compassionate and friendly behavior of Jenny is a sort of a comfort for this girl. Then we find two characters, Dennis and Matt. Dennis is protagonist's co-worker, and this character is studying in high school, and Matt is another co-worker. So this character is around 20 years old. So these two characters are treated as siblings by the girl, and the girl finds courage in these two characters, and she learns this thing from these two characters because she gets motivated by them. Another character of this short story is Mariana. Mariana is the roommate of the protagonist, and here we notice that the protagonist is unable to communicate with Mariana properly because Mariana does not understand her language, and as we have already discussed that the protagonist is not very fluent in English. So the protagonist imagines, she thinks that this girl Mariana had she been from any other nation, like if she had been from India or Bangladesh or Pakistan, then this Nepali girl would have communicated with her easily. So this thing highlights cultural barrier, and it also shows a sense of belonging. Let us discuss some of the major themes of this short story. The very first theme is transformation and freedom. This theme can be understood with the example that the girl, when she was there in Nepal, she was very much timid, and she depended upon the male members of her family, whereas when she comes to America, she experiences freedom, and this new culture gives her strength also. So physical and cultural transformation of this girl is presented here in this short story. We see that she starts wearing western dresses, and she does not hesitate in wearing those dresses which earlier she could never think of wearing in her own nation. Next thing that we notice here is that instead of speaking in her mother tongue, she now prefers to speak in English. So this thing can be understood from a quotation from this book only, from this short story. The language which earlier was a barrier, the language which restricted her from communicating with other students, with the other people in America, now she has mastered that language. I read it from one of the paragraphs from this short story. I quote, "She feels numb when she puts down the letter. It is the distance that makes his words sound unnatural. Perhaps she has got unused to Nepali, to the way they used to talk. Perhaps she has started to think with American words." Unquote. So with these words, we see that the girl has learned the language properly, and now she can easily communicate in that language. So this is also an example of her transformation. Now she is no longer that same Nepali girl who used to hesitate in talking in English. Now she understands the language well, and she can communicate in that language easily. So this is one of the examples of her transformation. Another example that can be seen as an example of this girl's freedom, the freedom which she has achieved by joining a job, because her salary, the money that she is earning here, this salary has brought freedom to that girl. We see here in this short story that, I quote, "Her paycheck comes in just under $200 every 2 weeks. Her paycheck comes every 2 weeks, every day. After work, she runs, lifting her feet higher, stepping further. What she likes above all is feeling light between steps. She takes new paths each time and doesn't mind it when she loses her way." This very line specifically talks about her sense of freedom when Manjushree Thapa writes, "She takes new paths each time and doesn't mind it when she loses her way." That the girl has energy, she has a sense of freedom. Now she has the courage to take a new path every time, to explore a new venture every time, because she has experienced, she has tasted that independence. And this independence has come by this salary. The moment she starts earning, she learns that now she is free, because she is not dependent on anyone for money. She is totally independent. Next thing that we notice here in this short story is presentation of cultural clash. We see that two cultures are talked about here in this short story. The first culture is Nepali, while the other culture is American. And these two cultures are presented differently, because these two cultures are totally different from each other. Nepali culture which is a girl's motherland, which is her real identity, her ethnic identity, and then the American culture, which is her new identity, acquired identity, identity of her new place, identity of the host country. And this cultural clash is also shown with the help of language. This cultural clash is also shown with the help of appearance, that is the dresses which she used to wear and now other dresses which she prefer to wear in the present situation. And then this cultural clash is also shown with the help of the behavior of different characters. So this cultural clash can be understood with one quotation from the book, where Manjushree Thapa writes, "When Americans encounter a person from another culture who is concerned with following tradition, they often say that this person is unsure or weak." This is the American way of looking at different people. When they see that someone is talking too much about following tradition and culture or some specific rules or norms that are related to the motherland, they just feel that the person is not very much sure, the person is somewhat confused. So this is this sense of confusion which is very much specific of immigrants in a new land, because their culture is totally different from the new culture, and thus they feel confused when they start comparing those two cultures. This we have seen in most of the diasporic writings. And as we know that diasporic literature is full of such examples, where we find that the protagonist is stuck between two cultures and facing this cultural clash. Next theme is theme of alienation. This theme is again represented with certain examples that are language, dress, behavior, and standards. The girl feels alienated when she is not able to communicate with the people in America. She starts thinking in Nepali, she starts talking to herself in her mind, because she has nowhere to share her thoughts with. And then the food also, when she tells the people there that she has never tasted alcohol, so this is also a sort of feeling which is very much related to alienation, because she finds this is something that others can do here in America but I have never done. So this is why she feels alienated again. And then this sense of mother tongue is also there when she misses her country, when she wants to go back home. So this sense is also an example of alienation. Next theme is nostalgia, where the girl talks about specific cartoons which she used to see in her motherland, and then she also talks about her school, her childhood, the classrooms, the education system in Nepal, then the education system there in America. So all these things which talk about cultural heritage, all the examples that are related to Nepal as well as America, these things make her remember her country again and again. So she thinks of her roots, she thinks of her family, her boyfriend, her lover, and her roots. So this thinking makes her further nostalgic. That's all for today. We will talk about other topics in other lectures. Thank you.